This is fantastic.
Fantastic Four, was that a bit confused? Sorry, Fantastic Four, this is the Fantastic Four. So yeah, this is fantastic. I worded it stupidly, so I'm redoing it. Yay! Anyway, so I know the one in Silver 2000 with Fantastic Four and Fantastic Four Silver Surfer. I liked it. I found it fun. I didn't really make a review out of it. I didn't do it back then. But I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. I know why some people don't like Silver Surfer. But I actually found it pretty interesting and pretty fun. And there was what a lot of people call fan-4-stick, which legitimately, I get why people don't like it. I like it because I think Michael B. Jordan I just love as an actor. I know there is definitely better. He is better in other roles, but that's besides the point. I do acknowledge it's not great. And then I watch this. And the one thing I'm going to say is I like the way... Actually, I'm not going to say that in this one because I would say that's somewhat... I think enough. Yeah. But yeah, let's get into that. So, I'm not going to talk about the story. I know this is spoiler section. But the reason why is I want to talk about the editing. Because a lot of the time, I'm like, okay, the characters are nice, the stories are nice, the acting's good. I don't talk about anything else. So sometimes if I know the director, I don't know the director for this too well. And I'm just do this for fun. Again, I don't consider myself a content creator. I just make content online. I know that's contradictory to what I just said, but go with it. I just make fun stuff online for... But the one thing where I like about this is the editing. And I know it's not really the editing, but it's more specifically how it's done. Because how a story is done is like sort of, hello, I'm the protagonist. Look, a villain. I know this is very rushed, just ignore my fact. It's like, look, a villain. I'm going to do said things to defeat the villain. Maybe midway through, fair, but that's besides what, go to defeat the villain, and that's a couple of days to a week. If maybe like a couple of montages in there, but mostly from beginning to end, besides montages, you don't really get... You get one montage, and then it's mostly kept within like this. This I like, and I think a lot of people like it because you get a lot of you meet the Fantastic Four and you see what they've done, you see how they've got powers, and you get that. You see the Fantastic Four hear about this thing with the Silver Surfer, and it's like, okay, we're going to go out of space, which you would think logically would be a while. It's like, we're going to go to space. Galactus. It's not bad. I know I sound like it's not bad. I am describing it so... But it's the idea of it's less a movie, but more moments in the life where you see these things coming. And I like that because it makes Galactic seem essentially like an apocalypse. By the way, I know there's DC apocalypse, just don't know, I mean an actual apocalypse. It's like the idea of Don't Look Up. That's a more comedy version of it. But the idea of eventually it just feels like an overwhelming presence just walking closer as this overwhelming presence. Because villains have this level of he's evil because of this, he's evil because of that. And yeah, it could be that you could be he wants to eat a baby, pretty evil. But the way that he sort of looked at and gleamed is less this, here is a villain with a sort of humanity to him. It's more that he's bigger than that. I know a lot of people might throw me out and be like, no, it's not that. But it sort of have this sort of eldritch nature to it, where he's bigger than you would ever think. And the idea of his scale, definitely when you see it, he is visible and you can see the whole form of him in a way. You do see that because he's bigger. Unless this city has skyscrapers bigger than we ever had, I don't think it does, because the Eiffel Tower looks similar to skies. So he's like no bigger than like a skyscraper. But if you consider the scaling of that, where you have one human in a house compared to a guy who could like step on my house probably by accident, that difference is terrifying. And when you get to the story, that was just me talking about the broad strokes. The story is so interesting because even the trailer did it, where it's like and when they talk more about it, it's more about family coming together, and it's so interesting. A lot of Marvel have been hit or miss. I've been mostly fine with them, but I'm mostly. You have to be pretty not good movie to go on my radar, and unlike some other content creators, which I'm not dissing, this is not diss, this is just fine if they don't want to. That sounds so bad. But they don't go out for like films that they know are bad. I do because I find those funny. I like watching films because sometimes it's stupid. And when I did that too, I literally went out of my way to watch the Emoji Movie, even though everyone would have told me it's bad. I would have told myself it's bad. I knew that beforehand. But so most of the time with Marvels, I'm mostly fine with it. But when I saw this, it's like, it was beautiful. I'm actually going to. I just thought this was so much towards like character development, stories, where it's like they are having more of a focus on what I think is most important, which is how the characters are. Because it's like a family in this. And it's that sort of element of like family camaraderie that they had, that they sort of like joke with each other, and each one of them has a moment in the sunlight, for better or for worse. And also I realized you get like some of the moments of the thing with like other people and like this interesting idea. You get, obviously with the thing, I don't have much, but with the other three, I do know one moment each, which I actually like. You get Sue Storm with sort of her going out being like, for my child, and then being like, trying to go, that I would move heaven and earth at that speed, which I think was amazing. You get Reed Richard with, I know this is spoilers, but I'm bad at recording these and don't do these with script. I probably should. Anyway, Reed Richard with his sort of like, I don't want him to be like me. And I love the whole like Johnny Storm thing with the Silver Surfer. I'm also, because I know this is going to be a point, going to acknowledge that a lot of people supposedly hated this film because the Silver Surfer, the Silver Surfer was a female, which I was like, oh, that's interesting. And that's it. And I'd like to point out, I don't know comics. So when it's like, oh yeah, that's a creative choice. I want to see how that affects the story of this. I mean, when I did some research on it, I was like, I was annoyed that like the Silver Surfer is a female, but you know that was a thing of it. I'm like, I did not. I don't. So when I watched the movie, I'm like, oh yeah, makes sense. Because I already did research beforehand. It's almost like if you did research about the thing, you would know a bit more. Anyway, but yeah, I didn't actually know, and I was fine. I don't know why. I think it's just problems that I don't want to talk about, because that's a sticky subject. But I do think that she was really good at that. So yeah, Fear Street. I've also got a couple others. I'm literally going to review in like, I think 10 or some days, Halloween. So it's weirdly oddly timed that I'm getting some horror stuff in Halloween. That was purely by accident. But anyway, I liked talking about this, and I'm going to be excited for this. Sorry if this is long, but yeah. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked my video, and good night. I know this isn't it, I'm so done with it.